closed the gold window, as was, that's the phrase, meaning that from that time on, the US dollar was no longer backed by anything other than the full faith and credit of the federal government. And for some reason, people still have faith in the federal government, and the federal government has no credit. It is totally and utterly bankrupt, and has been for a long time, at least since 2001 anyway. The fiscal mismanagement that goes on between Congress and the Wall Street and federal government of the U.S. is just beyond belief. It really is. These people are just morons. They're complete morons, illiterate. All, and this is what I think, is that it's all deliberate. They're not that moronic, because the plan is to cause economic serfdom in the whole world. That's what the plan is. Now, it's not the end, it's not the goal, it's the means to the end, and I'll be getting into that in a future episode. And this whole, the reason why I started the Mobuku Chronicles is because I wanted to give people the tools to be able to emancipate themselves from the machinations of the entities that wish to bring about the economic slavery of the entire world under the control of a very small percentage of individualities who have utter contempt and derision for the rest of us. They think they're superior kind of beings, and that we're all just a bunch of proletariat, just a bunch of drones. That's all we are to them. And they really think this. There's this Charles Savoy guy. He's done a lot of work. He started researching the whole business of what I call the ruling criminal elite. He started doing the research back in the mid-70s. And he's got a copious amount of commentary and reports on that silver-investor.com site, which is all public archives. So you can go and look at all that. And it's a lot of work, because he does a tremendous amount of commentary and analysis. But essentially, to boil it all down, is that what he's discovered is that there's this society called the Pilgrim Society, which is totally secret, for the most part. And his one report that kind of documents in its pretty much its entirety all the personalities that have been involved in the Pilgrim Society since its inception. And it was started by Cecil Rhodes. Now, Cecil Rhodes was the founder of the De Beers Diamond Empire. He was financed by the Rothschilds. And he went to Africa, South and Central Africa. Rhodesia, which is now Zimbabwe, was named after him. To basically corner the entire mineral wealth of those southern part of Africa. And this was when South Africa was a British colony. There was a Attorney General of South Africa, British Attorney General by the name of Milner, and he finances Lenin and the Bolshevik Revolution. So, but the essential purpose of this Pilgrim Society, which was founded by, and its stated purpose, by Cecil Rhodes, is to, how do they put it, absorb unto themselves all the wealth in the world. That's their stated purpose. And to use it to finance an Anglo-American empire, which would control the entire world, which is, I mean, that's their stated goal. And of course, I don't think that those people are the real, shall we say, brains behind this whole scheme. I think that the secret brotherhoods are, and I will go into them in greater detail later on. But the point is that this is more than just a problem of money, which is complex enough as it is. This is a question of freedom. That's really what it is. Because if we're economic slaves, our possibilities of freedom are somewhat limited, shall I say, because we have to spend all our time just going through the daily grind just to be able to barely make ends meet. And of course, a lot of people today are not managing to do even that. So what they're doing is they're using their credit cards for their day-to-day and week-to-week basic necessities of food and, clothing and electricity and all that stuff. And they're actually using their credit cards to do that. And because they have no other recourse. I mean, the unemployment rate is around 22%. The number of people on food stamps is at all-time high. I think it was like 46 million or something. And the problem of hunger is widespread in the developed countries of the world. And it's probably even more widespread in the less developed countries of the world. And this is not because there's a lack of food. Not at all. There's enough resources in the world to feed the population. If they ate whole grains and vegetables as their staple food many times over. But the fact of the matter is, as I've chronicled in earlier episodes, the policy is to make people eat meat and sugar because that keeps them chained to the medical system. And then you have all the pills and the potions and the this and that and the insurance, so-called health insurance, and all that. It's just a ball and chain. So what I'm teaching people is to emancipate themselves from that, using the Mobuku Chronicles as my my platform to do that. Now I realize that there are not a lot of people go and watch these videos, and of course I get notices from time to time saying, you need to promote these. No, I'm not going to promote them, because I want this information to get to the people who want this information in its own good time. If what I have to say is of any merit, then it will find its way and it will grow. But it will grow gradually and organically. And that's really what I'm after. Let it find its own way in the world, and if it falls flat on its face, well, so be it. But I think this information is of paramount importance to everybody in the world, which is why I'm doing this. And of course, I've still got many more episodes to go before I complete the story. And so the thing is about the silver and the gold is that these are commodities that you have in your own possession, do not use any third party at all. All right, and if you can, try to make sure that you have no paper trail indicating that you have any silver. You know, try to just go to the silver bullion, gold bullion, you know, dealers, the coin shops, and just put a fictitious name in the, well, the place I go, I don't even have to put an address. I just put a fictitious name. So there's no paper trail. I mean, if you buy it through the internet and you use a credit card or you use your bank account, then you have a paper trail. And of course, a lot of people are talking about where they're going to confiscate silver or gold. Well, they may do. The government may do that. I think they're more likely to go after gold than they are silver. But it's just as well to be safe and just make sure people don't know you have any silver. And then if you do have it, store it in places where, you know, there's plenty of places to hide things if you just use your imagination. And but I don't think they'll go after silver, because it's just, if everybody has silver in their possession and they have to go door to door to find out whether you have silver or not, they just don't have the manpower to do that. You know, I mean, a lot of this stuff that Obama has been doing, the National Defense Authorization Act and the Homeland Security that was done by Bush, and the National Security Agency, you know, building a 1 million square foot facility in Utah to monitor everybody's emails and this and that and the other. It's like, come on, give me a break. You don't have the manpower to do all that. You simply don't have it. I mean, you're going to monitor 250 billion emails a day? There's no credibility at all. So it's you know, what Hunter Thompson called the kingdom of fear. They're just trying to induce fear, so don't fall for that. Fear is not a good basis for running our lives anyway. And of course, the fact of the matter is, the fear is actually the federal government is fearful. They're the ones who are really paranoid, and justifiably so. They're fearful of their citizenry. You know, under the guise of protecting us from terrorism. You know, the most terroristic organization on the face of the earth, by far, in the entire history of mankind, is the U.S. federal government. Has been for a long time. So, I mean, just don't buy into that. You know, the whole thing about the federal government is just to keep an eye on it, like you would watch a cockroach walking across the kitchen floor, and then just watching it, see what the hell it's up to. That's what you're doing with the federal government. Just another freaking cockroach. So you don't worry about it, but you keep an eye on it. You certainly have to keep an eye on it. And the Federal Reserve and the U.S. Treasury and all this stuff. And you have to go to the right places. I mean, there's a lot of people in this country that think the federal government is honest and Obama is telling the truth. It's amazing to me how the American people are such a poor judges of character. Amazing. I mean, we haven't had a personality in the White House that's worth a damn for well over 100 years. I mean, of a stature that would be required for a person to be a president. Nowhere near. So they're all second and third rate individuals, if that. And so you know, as I said, this whole silver thing is just to make sure that you can maintain your standard of living. It's not to become rich. I mean, if you become rich, well, that has its other set of problems. I mean, really, the whole purpose that I have in terms of the money situation, you know, your own budgetary needs, just figure